Rabies is a disease with a very long and dark history. It has been a source of fear for people for many centuries. Imagine, this illness was documented over 4,000 years ago. Ancient civilizations in Mesopotamia actually wrote about it. They described a terrifying sickness linked to dog bites. This shows how long rabies has been a part of human experience. The fear it caused was immense, truly profound. It was a mysterious and deadly threat back then. People were desperate to understand this horrifying condition. They sought ways to protect themselves and their animals. The name rabies itself tells us something about its nature. It comes from a Latin word that means madness or fury. This perfectly captures the terrifying changes it causes in behavior. In ancient Sanskrit, the word Rabies meant to do violence. These ancient words paint a vivid picture of the disease. It was clearly recognized as something that induced aggression. The link to erratic and violent actions was unmistakable. This understanding, though basic, was crucial for early warnings. It helped people identify potentially dangerous animals. The name itself served as a caution. In those ancient times, without scientific understanding, rabies was terrifying. People likely attributed it to supernatural forces or curses. The way it transformed a familiar animal into a monster was shocking. A loyal dog could suddenly become a deadly threat. This unpredictability added to the widespread fear and anxiety. Communities lived with the constant low-level dread of an outbreak. A bite from an animal was not just painful, it could be a death sentence. Slow and agonizing. This historical context is important for us to appreciate. It highlights how far we have come in fighting rabies. The sheer terror rabies instilled cannot be overstated, really. It was not just the death it caused, but the manner of it. The symptoms were, and still are, horrific to witness. This led to extreme measures to try and prevent its spread. Often these measures were born out of desperation, not knowledge. The history of rabies is a history of human struggle. It's a struggle against a hidden, deadly enemy. Understanding this past helps us value modern medicine. We can now prevent and control this ancient scourge. But vigilance is always key with diseases like rabies. For many, many centuries, rabies remained a profound mystery. People knew it was dangerous and they knew it came from animals. The connection to bites, especially from dogs, was observed early on. This was a critical piece of information for communities. It allowed them to take some very basic precautions. However, the true cause of the disease was completely unknown. Was it bad air, an imbalance of humors, or a curse? These were the kinds of explanations common at the time. Scientific methods were not yet developed to find the real answer, so fear and superstition often guided responses to the illness. Early attempts to treat or prevent rabies were often quite brutal, and sadly, they were almost always completely ineffective. Imagine someone being bitten by a suspect animal. They might have the wound cauterized with a hot iron. This was an incredibly painful procedure, as you can imagine. Other folk remedies involved strange concoctions or rituals. None of these could stop the relentless progression of the virus. Once symptoms appeared, the outcome was inevitably fatal. This grim reality persisted for thousands of years, a long time. It's hard to imagine the hopelessness people must have felt. The link between animal bites and rabies was the most solid clue. People learned to be wary of animals acting strangely, especially dogs, which lived closely with human communities. If a dog started to foam at the mouth or act aggressive, it was a clear sign of danger, a warning to stay away. This observational knowledge was passed down through generations. It was the best defense they had for a very long time. But it wasn't enough to truly control the disease. Outbreaks could still occur, causing panic and loss of life. The true nature of the infectious agent remained hidden. Progress in understanding rabies was incredibly slow for centuries. While other medical knowledge advanced, rabies seemed to resist understanding. It was a stubborn puzzle, a terrifying enigma for healers. The lack of effective treatment meant a bite was a dire event. It cast a long shadow of fear over interactions with animals. Even beloved pets could potentially become carriers of death. This period highlights the importance of scientific inquiry. Without it, we remain vulnerable to such diseases. The story of rabies eventually takes a turn, thankfully. This turn was thanks to dedicated scientific investigation. The 19th century brought amazing advances in science. One of the giants of this era was Louis Pasteur. He was a French chemist and microbiologist, a brilliant mind. Pasteur's work on germ theory revolutionized medicine. He showed that tiny living organisms cause many diseases. This was a huge leap forward in understanding illnesses. Naturally, Pasteur became interested in tackling rabies. It was one of the most feared diseases of his time. He saw the suffering it caused and was determined to help. His dedication would change the future of rabies forever. Pasteur began his intensive research into rabies around 1880. He suspected correctly that a microbe was the culprit, but this microbe was too small to be seen with microscopes then. This made his research incredibly challenging, a real test. He worked with infected animals, often rabbits, in his lab. He carefully studied how the disease progressed in them. Through painstaking experiments, he developed a bold idea. He thought he could weaken the infectious agent. This weakened agent could then be used to create immunity. This was the foundation for a potential vaccine. The critical moment came in 1885, a landmark year. A young boy named Joseph Meister was bitten multiple times. A rabid dog had attacked him severely. His mother brought him to Pasteur in desperation. The boy was almost certain to die from rabies. Pasteur had developed a vaccine tested on dogs but not humans. It was a huge risk, a very difficult decision. But with no other hope, Pasteur administered the vaccine. He gave Joseph a series of injections over several days. The world watched and waited, holding its breath. Amazingly, Joseph Meister survived and did not develop rabies. This was a monumental victory for science and medicine. Pasteur's rabies vaccine was a success, a true miracle. It proved that rabies, once a certain death sentence, was preventable. This breakthrough offered immense hope to the world. The news spread rapidly and Pasteur became a global hero. His work not only saved countless lives from rabies, but also laid the groundwork for modern immunology and virology. The Pasteur Institute was founded in Paris to continue this work. It remains a leading research center to this day. So, what exactly is this enemy that Pasteur fought? Rabies is caused by a virus, a type of lyssavirus. These viruses are incredibly small microscopic invaders. You cannot see them without very powerful electron microscopes. The rabies virus has a distinct bullet-like shape. This shape is one of its identifying characteristics for scientists. It's a tiny package of genetic material wrapped in protein. Its sole purpose is to replicate inside a host, and in doing so, it causes devastating disease. Understanding the virus itself is key to combating it. How does the rabies virus actually make someone sick? It usually enters the body through a bite from an infected animal. The virus is present in the saliva of the rabid animal. Once in the body, it doesn't immediately attack the brain. Instead, it slowly travels along the nerves. It moves from the site of the bite towards the spinal cord, and from there it makes its way to the brain. This journey can take weeks, months, or sometimes even longer. The length of this incubation period can vary greatly. This variability makes rabies particularly insidious. Once the rabies virus reaches the brain, it causes severe problems. It leads to inflammation of the brain called encephalitis. This inflammation disrupts normal brain function drastically. It's this brain damage that causes the terrible symptoms of rabies. The virus also spreads to other parts of the body. It can be found in the salivary glands, which is important. This is how an infected animal can transmit it through a bite. The virus essentially hijacks the host's body. It uses the host to replicate and spread itself. The outcome is almost always tragic once symptoms begin. Transmission of rabies is most commonly through saliva. A bite that breaks the skin is the main risk. Scratches from an infected animal can also be a risk. This is especially true if saliva gets into the scratch. Less commonly, it can spread if infected saliva gets into mucous membranes. Think of the eyes, nose, or mouth, for example. Aerosol transmission, breathing in the virus, is very rare. It has only really been documented in specific cave environments. These caves might have large populations of infected bats. For most people, direct contact with saliva is the concern. Section 5. Warning signs: how rabies shows up in animals. Recognizing rabies in animals is crucial for our safety. The most significant sign is a change in an animal's behavior. A friendly animal might become aggressive or withdrawn. A nocturnal animal might be seen out during the daytime. These are red flags that something is seriously wrong. It is important to be aware of these potential indicators. Rabies can affect any mammal, including our pets and wildlife. So, observing animals from a safe distance is always wise. Never approach an animal that is acting strangely or sick. This simple rule can prevent a dangerous exposure. Rabies in animals often presents in one of two main forms. The first is furious rabies, which is more commonly depicted. Animals with furious rabies may become very agitated and aggressive. They might bite or attack without any provocation at all. They can lose their fear of humans or other animals. Excessive drooling or foaming at the mouth can also occur. This is due to paralysis of the throat muscles, making swallowing hard. Some animals may also show hydrophobia, a fear of water. This is also linked to the painful spasms when trying to swallow. These signs are alarming and indicate a severe neurological issue. The second form is paralytic rabies, also known as dumb rabies. This form might be less dramatic, but it is just as deadly. Animals with paralytic rabies may appear weak or lethargic. They might seem depressed or unusually tame and unafraid. Paralysis often starts in the limb that was bitten. It then gradually spreads throughout the animal's body. The animal may have difficulty moving or coordinating. Difficulty swallowing can also occur, leading to drooling. Eventually, the animal will fall into a coma and die. This form can sometimes be mistaken for other illnesses. It's important to remember these signs can vary. Not every rabid animal will show all these symptoms. Some may show a mix of furious and paralytic signs. The key is any unexplained change in behavior or physical state. If you see a wild animal acting unusually, keep your distance. Report it to your local animal control or health department. Do not try to help or capture the animal yourself. This is for your safety and the safety of others. For pets, if they show sudden unexplained changes, call your vet. Prompt action is essential when rabies is suspected. Section 6. A grim progression: rabies symptoms in humans. When a human is infected with rabies, the disease has a typical course. First, there's an incubation period, which can be tricky. This is the time between the bite and when symptoms start. It can range from a few weeks to several months. In rare cases, it can even be a year or longer. This long and variable incubation period is dangerous. A person might forget about a minor bite or scratch, or they might not realize they were exposed to the virus. During this time, the virus is silently traveling to the brain. There are usually no symptoms during this initial phase. The first symptoms of rabies in humans are often quite general. They can easily be mistaken for the flu or other common illnesses. A person might experience fever, headache, and just feel unwell. They might feel weak or tired with a general sense of malaise. A key early sign can be pain, tingling, or itching. This sensation often occurs at the site of the original bite. This is a clue that the virus is active in the nerves. As the virus reaches the brain, more specific symptoms develop. These early, non-specific symptoms make diagnosis hard initially, but the disease progresses rapidly once it takes hold. As the rabies infection advances, severe neurological symptoms appear. The person may become anxious, confused, and highly agitated. They might experience hallucinations or episodes of delirium. Behavior can become erratic and unpredictable. Muscle spasms can occur, and seizures are possible. Two classic and terrifying symptoms may develop. One is hydrophobia, an intense fear of water. Even the sight or sound of water can trigger painful throat spasms. The other is aerophobia, a fear of drafts or fresh air. These symptoms are unique to rabies and are horrifying. Once these advanced neurological symptoms begin, rabies is almost always fatal. There is no cure for rabies once the clinical disease is apparent. Medical care at this stage is focused on comfort and support. The disease progresses to paralysis, coma, and then death. This usually happens within a week or two of severe symptoms starting. This is why prevention after exposure is so critical. If someone is bitten by an animal suspected of rabies, action is urgent. Post-exposure prophylaxis, or PEP, can save their life. PEP involves wound washing and a series of vaccines and antibodies. It must be given before symptoms start to be effective. Section 7. Shielding our companions: the power of pet vaccination. One of the most effective ways to prevent rabies in humans is simple. It is by vaccinating our domestic animals, especially dogs. Dogs are the main source of human rabies deaths globally. Vaccinating them creates a barrier between wildlife rabies and people. It protects our beloved pets from contracting the disease, and it protects us, our families, and our communities. Pet vaccination is a cornerstone of public health strategy. It has dramatically reduced rabies cases in many countries. This is a responsibility for every pet owner. It's an act of love for your pet and your community. Most pet owners are familiar with routine vaccinations for their animals. The rabies vaccine is a critical part of this schedule. Puppies and kittens typically receive their first rabies shot young. The exact timing can vary, so consult your veterinarian. After the initial shot, booster vaccinations are needed. These boosters help maintain a strong level of immunity. Your vet will tell you how often boosters are required. It might be annually or every 3 years, depending on the vaccine. Keeping up with this schedule is absolutely essential. A lapse in vaccination can leave your pet vulnerable. The impact of widespread pet vaccination has been remarkable. In countries where most dogs are vaccinated, human rabies is rare. This shows the power of a community-wide approach. When enough animals are vaccinated, herd immunity can develop. This means the virus has fewer susceptible hosts to infect. It makes it much harder for rabies to spread. This protects not only vaccinated pets, but also unvaccinated ones, and critically, it protects people from exposure. It's a collective effort with huge public health benefits. Every vaccinated pet contributes to this protective shield. Being a responsible pet owner means more than just food and shelter. It means ensuring their health and safety, which includes vaccination. Check your local laws regarding rabies vaccination for pets. In many places, rabies vaccination for dogs is mandatory. Even for indoor cats, vaccination is often recommended. Cats can encounter rabid animals like bats that get indoors. Talk to your veterinarian about the right plan for your pets. They are your best resource for animal health information. By vaccinating our furry friends, we build a safer world. It's a simple step with life-saving consequences for everyone. Section 8, playing it safe, smart steps to prevent rabies. Beyond vaccinating pets, there are other important safety tips. These can help you and your family avoid rabies exposure. A key rule is to avoid contact with wild animals. No matter how cute or harmless they may seem, keep your distance. Wild animals should be admired from afar, never approached. This is especially true for animals acting strangely or sick. If you see a wild animal behaving oddly, do not go near it. Instead, contact your local animal control or health officials. They are trained to handle these situations safely. Teaching children this rule is also very important. Never try to feed or handle stray animals. While your intentions might be good, it can be risky. Stray animals may not be vaccinated against rabies. They may also be more likely to bite or scratch if scared. If you are concerned about a stray animal, call professionals. Animal shelters or rescue organizations can help. Also, make your property less attractive to wild animals. Secure your garbage cans tightly with lids. Don't leave pet food outside where it can attract wildlife. Sealing openings to basements, porches, and attics can prevent critters. These steps reduce the chances of encounters. Educating children about animal safety is absolutely vital. Teach them never to approach unfamiliar animals, wild or domestic. Tell them to immediately inform an adult if they are bitten or scratched. This applies even if the injury seems minor. Children might be afraid to report an incident, so reassure them. Emphasize that it's important for their health and safety. Supervise young children closely when they are around animals. Even familiar pets can bite if startled or scared. These simple lessons can prevent serious health risks. Open communication about animal safety is key in every family. If you are bitten or scratched by any animal, take immediate action. First, wash the wound thoroughly with soap and water. Wash it for at least 15 minutes if possible. This can help to remove some of the virus if present. After washing, seek medical attention right away. Contact your doctor or go to an emergency room. Explain what happened and describe the animal if you can. Your doctor will assess the risk and decide if you need PEP. Post-exposure prophylaxis is highly effective if given promptly. Do not delay seeking medical care. It could save your life. Section 9. The ongoing battle. Why rabies still matters today. Even with medical advancements, rabies remains a global threat. It is estimated to cause tens of thousands of deaths each year. The vast majority of these deaths occur in Asia and Africa. In these regions, dog rabies is still widespread. Access to vaccination for dogs can be limited, and post-exposure prophylaxis for humans may not be readily available. This highlights the health disparities that exist in our world. Rabies is a disease of poverty and neglect in many ways. Efforts are underway to change this tragic reality, but there is still much work to be done globally. In many developed countries, like the United States, human rabies is rare. This is largely thanks to successful animal vaccination programs and also due to the availability of effective PEP. However, rabies has not been eliminated entirely. Wild animals, particularly bats, raccoons, skunks and foxes, still carry it. This means there is always a potential risk of exposure. Vigilance is necessary to maintain this low level of human cases. We cannot become complacent about this deadly disease. Public health surveillance and animal control are crucial. Continued awareness helps keep communities safe from rabies. There are global efforts to fight rabies, which is encouraging. Organizations like the World Health Organization are involved. World Rabies Day is observed every year on September 28th. This day aims to raise awareness about rabies prevention. It also highlights the progress being made in defeating it. The goal is to eliminate dog-mediated human rabies deaths globally. This is an ambitious but achievable target with concerted effort. It requires collaboration between governments, health professionals, and communities. Research also continues to improve vaccines and treatments. Every step forward brings us closer to a rabies-free world. In conclusion, rabies is a severe and historically feared disease, but it is also almost entirely preventable, which is good news. Understanding how rabies spreads is the first step. Knowing its symptoms in animals and humans is also important. Vaccinating our pets is a key protective measure for everyone. Practicing caution around wild and unfamiliar animals is vital. And seeking prompt medical attention after any potential exposure is critical. By taking these sensible precautions, we can protect ourselves. We can also protect our families and our communities. Continued awareness and responsible actions are our best defense against rabies.